What is the best camera building photography? Or best type of camera, shall I say? Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Rick McAvoy. I photograph buildings. More on that in a minute, but here is the answer, which you will find on my blog post. In my blog post even, at rickmcavoyphotography.com. Choosing the right camera for each genre of photography needs some real thought and consideration. Different cameras are best suited for different types of photography. And building photography is no exception. Let me explain. But here is the answer bit first. This is the good stuff. The best camera for building photography is the camera with the largest size sensor that you own. The best type of camera for building photography is a full-frame DSLR camera or full-frame mirrorless camera. This takes account of size, weight, cost and portability when working on site. That was the formal written answer. So, yep, that is my opinion. And my opinion is based on many years taking photographs of buildings. Let me start with what I use. The Canon 6D. Now that's the Canon 6D Mark 1. Yep, old camera. First released 2014. Full frame DSLR. It was a brilliant camera when it was released. I bought mine in 2016, still using it now. Never let me down, touching wood, won't let me down again. And it does what I need it to do, and I am more than happy with it. So that's what I use. So why a full frame mirrorless or DSLR camera? Well, there's a balance between, you can take great when I say building photography, I'm referring to architectural photography, construction photography, real estate photography, photographing buildings, whatever way, shape or form you want. Photographing buildings on holiday. I also photograph buildings in nice places. See what I did there? There's a balance between the size and weight of a camera and the size of the sensor. Now, I think it's fair to say that to get the best quality photos that you possibly ever can, you need the biggest possible sensor you can get. So you're talking large format cameras. Now, I don't own a large format camera. I've never held one in my hands, to be honest with you. Next size down is medium formats. Now, that's your Hasselblads and what have you, and your Fuji, whatever they're called. The wonderful bits of kit, not dissing them for a second, and they take amazing photos, but they're a bit big, they're very expensive, and do you actually need that level of quality? Now, for some photographing of buildings, you do need that level of quality. But for most normal, general people taking general, professional standard photos of buildings, and that is a very important thing. This is professional, commercial, standard photographs of buildings. This is what I use, have done for years. And before that I used a Canon 5D, and before that I used a film camera, an SLR, 35mm SLR, same as this. Take the sensor out, take the film chamber out, chuck a sensor in the back, voila. And back in the day before digital, 35mm was by far the most popular kind of camera used for this kind of work. Yes, they're a medium format, yes, they're a large format, but for conventional, professional photography work, the full frame, a 35mm SLR camera, as in a 35mm film camera, was the standard go-to camera for most pro photographers. And a full frame DSLR is pretty much the same thing with a sensor instead of the film. That's my justification. Now, yes, you can get commercial, professional standard photos with crop sensor cameras. You can get commercial, professional standard photos with micro four thirds cameras. I have one myself. I have actually done this myself and proved it to a repeat client who didn't notice the difference. from me taking photos on about 20 shoots with a Canon 6D and then using an Olympus EM1 on one shoot and one shoot alone. The client didn't notice, nobody noticed, and when I look at the photos I can't really tell, because one big thing we need to remember, you take photos of a building, what do you do with them? Who looks at them? People look at things on monitors these days, don't they? So 35mm, or I'm saying 35mm now instead of full frame, which is an unfortunate retro slippage. So a full frame DSLR is more than good enough for most uses, and it's small enough as well. It's smaller than a medium format or a large format camera. Of course it is, you'd expect it to be. But when you're on a construction site, you don't want a massive camera. You really don't, because I've got to get up and down ladders. I've got to get on scaffolds. I've got to go into excavations. I've got to put my camera on top of a painter's pole and photograph some gravel being unloaded from a rail siding. Yeah, it's not photographing buildings, but it's the same kind of thing. It's the kind of thing that I find myself doing. This does it for me. And you can't go wrong with them. They're brilliant cameras, the quality is amazing. And don't think you need to buy the latest and greatest. You don't. I'm still using this old thing. Look at it. It's well used. It's well used. But it still works and it still gives me great photos. Okay, that's me done. Check out my blog at rickmcavoyphotography.com, where you can read the full post with the title. I've got to scroll up again here now. What is the best camera for building photography, or type of camera? That's on the blog. And while I've got you, why not check out my absolutely splendid Photography Explained podcast, available on all good podcast providers, and also at the Photography Explained podcast.com website. I know, where do I come up with this stuff? Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, one more thing, go to my website, rickmcavoyphotography.com. If you want to hear from me every week with an email, not too long, very informative. I would say that, wouldn't I? Just go to my website, rickmcavoyphotography.com, fill in the form, and you will get an email from me every Friday afternoon, 3 p.m, a local time, where I am sat right here now. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video. Cheers from me, Rick.